This week's parable comes by way of Chalupa. No, not the one from Taco Bell, but rather a delicious braise made with pork shoulder, green chilies, pinto beans, and spices. I was first introduced to this dish in Tijuana, Mexico, while building homes with Amor Ministries. Since 1997, I've had this dish literally hundreds of times. In Mexico with Amor on future trips, but also here at home at Bible studies and other church gatherings. It became a regular dish at birthday parties, graduation parties, Super Bowl parties, and other celebrations. It was even the featured dinner at a friend's wedding. I can't count how many times I've had to explain to people when I reference this chalupa that it isn't the same as the Taco Bell chalupa, which got me to thinking. How did an old family recipe and a fast food dish come to share the same odd name? Well, it turns out that the etymology of chalupa doesn't have to do with the dish, but rather the way it is consumed and packaged. Chalupa is a Spanish transliteration of a Dutch and French word for a small boat. So chalupa refers to a boat-shaped vessel, which could refer both to the fried bread taco-like dish served in South Central Mexico that inspired the Taco Bell product, and it probably explains how the braised pork dish, which is usually served with boat-like Fritos scoops, got its name. Imagine that. A little work, a little investigation. Honestly, we're talking a Google search, but a little search into origin and history, and a mystery is solved. Look, I understand. Other mysteries aren't going to be as easily solved as the mystery of Chalupa, but I think we've gotten a little lazy, especially when it comes to the mysteries of the Bible. And yes, there are mysteries of the Bible. I mean, we've gotten way too lax, and it has become commonplace to hear something like, well, the Bible says such and so there you go. It must be true. It's just not that easy. Because the Bible is an ancient text that was written to real people in a real place at a real time. That means it sits at a specific place in history and has to be infused with that context. That means there's work to do. That doesn't mean that the Bible is irrelevant, but you've got to commit to some things. I think we need to commit ourselves to asking, well, first of all, I guess we have to acknowledge that there are difficult questions, that there are difficult topics. Let's start with that. But once we can get to that, we commit ourselves to acknowledging the difficulty, acknowledging the tough questions and the tough topics of our world, and that the Bible is relevant to those things. And then I believe we need to commit ourselves to approaching the Bible with humility and grace, instead of trying to haphazardly wield it with authority and power to make ourselves look better. Let's make sure our theology matches up with Jesus instead of trying to get Jesus to match our theology. And look, not all of us are interested in historical studies or etymology or languages and linguistics and literary works and literary critiques. Like, I get it. Not everybody's into that. That's okay. There are enough people out there who love it and who are gifted enough to communicate it with passion and with clarity. If you don't want to do that work, make sure you find somebody that is willing to do the work, but that does the work from a place of love of grace that does it with Jesus as the priority. Because theology has consequences. If somebody is trying to convince you to view the Bible the way they view it, and they point to their title or their degree as the reasons you should trust them, run. If someone's so-called theology minimizes you, puts you in a position to be taken advantage of or manipulated, run. Run away. If you take a look around and the people who are in positions of power and authority, if they are minimizing, if they are silencing, if they are ignoring people who don't agree with them, if everyone in a church has to all believe all of the same things, run. Theology has consequences. The theology of Jesus Christ should result in grace, in love, in kindness, patience. If you are in an environment where you are encountering the opposite, run, because that theology is not rooted in the person of Jesus.